Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews at JTMatthews01 on the Twitter, and I'm here with the Dr. Nicholas Manning at Dr_Manning on Twitter. Doc, happy Wednesday. Happy to be here again doing our thing. How you been today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm a little, this cold weather crap is for the birds. I appreciate the sun's out, though. So that's a good sign. So essentially we got one more evening of nasty. And then we get back into the warmness, 65 over the weekend. Let's go. Yeah.
We're getting to an interesting time. We're like between sports seasons almost. So our kids are going to have a little bit of a break, which means we get a little bit of break, which is nice.
Nice.
And hopefully the weather just keeps getting better. I know we probably got a few more. I'm not naive. I've lived in Colorado long enough, but it'd be nice to have some spring-like weekends for a couple weeks before we hit that again.
Yep.
It's always a bit of a struggle to find those times, especially we're going to have soccer in a couple weeks. That'll be back outdoors. So I expect we'll play like half of those games, maybe.
Yeah. And we have flag football. So we got plenty of outside activities. So our time is accounted for.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I like it, but I also don't.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Just because we love it doesn't mean that it's not
just like fatherhood. I like it, but sometimes I don't
love it. Yeah, and it will kill me probably.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's why I'm already so gray. All right. Well, let's jump into some sports talk. Nothing really new happening this week as far as Avs and Nuggets, just because we are an all-star break essentially for both of them. Four Nations face-off is, I think, the finals tonight, correct? Tomorrow. USA, Canada are going to match up for the championship. And all-star game happened. It was an all-star game. I don't know what else we can say about it.
There's apparently some opinions. Lots of opinions.
Yeah, I watched it. I'm not going to lie. I watched it with my middle too, because they are little basketball junkies.
Research.
Yeah. Doing research for sure. Watching Mr. Beast give away $100,000, which is kind of cool.
It's cool.
But yeah, it felt pretty similar to other All-Star games. I'm not gonna lie. I like maybe the way they did it a little bit more, but it felt like ultimately the same product. So just way too many commercials.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's like the only way to make it like a strong competitive game is to put something on the line, right? So MLB did the home field advantage through the World Series. So and the hockey fans, they called for kind of international play. These guys aren't getting anything in the Four Nations face-off, that for winning other than pride and people caring about their country and who they represent and all that good stuff. Bringing something like that back to the NBA, I think, would be huge. I'm extremely disappointed still of like how soft our elite players are in the NBA to not want to participate in the dunk contest.
I know, right?
Essentially, like that was like the event, and now, Max McClung, nice job. I can't do it. You're a beast, But he three-peated. He has like more slam dunk championships than Vince Carter, and like stuff that just shouldn't be said in sentences,
Yeah. I'm sure you could probably roster. We could probably all think of four guys that have hops that can yam the ball that play in the NBA currently. That could probably take that away.
That's a little bit of like, Ja, where you at? Edwards, where you at?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like there's some cats that are prime NBA talent. Not even that, but like mid guys, right? So AG might come back. Zach LaVine, which kind of a big guy, come back, bro.
Christian Brown.
Christian Brown. $5 million. Exactly. Christian Brown. Put $5 million on whoever wins first. Whoever loses has to donate $1 million till it equals the 5. So it's not like you're taking it from the league.
There you go.
Players. You know what I'm saying?
Right out of their pocketbooks. I like that.
You know what? If you want it to matter, no one likes to lose their own money. So
that's true. That's a good point. I don't think you can make them do that, unfortunately. But I like it. I like the thought that we're going to.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Big time. Long time friend of the show. Appreciate you. Let's talk Avs a little bit first. I just want to jump off. There's again not much. There is the trade deadline still that it's kind of sneaking up on us.
2 weeks or 3 weeks?
I think what's today? I think about 3. So we think we got into the first week, second week of March. Let's see. I've got something pulled up. Maybe it'll tell me. But anyways, there's moves to be made potentially with this team. I think we just kind of want to look forward to what the season has in store. We can't predict what those trades are going to be, but I think we're feeling, at least I'm feeling decent about where the Avalanche are and what their outlook is. I think they've put together a nice roster. I think since moving Ranson in, not to belittle anything on Ranson's end, but it kind of feels like we've won the trade up to this point. I know that may not stand as is. Ranson's a fantastic player, and I'm sure we'll find his footing. And when you've played your whole career in one place, to be shipped off to somewhere else where everything's new, it's going to take some acclimating. But I think that it shows that, and something that I appreciate about both the Avs and the Nuggets, is that we have head coaches that have a scheme and they have a process, and they make sure that everyone's bought into that. And then you find guys that fit that. And I think that the Avalanche have done a really good job of doing that. I think Jared Bednar's really been, the best Avs coach in a long time. I don't know.
I might even say ever.
Yeah, you could put him up there in the top tier.
Bob Hartley and they had Sakic and Forsberg.
Mark Crawford.
It's relatively good, but yeah, to see Bednar come from junior hockey to take over the job, 3 weeks before training camp starts or something? It was absurd.
Yeah, it was fast.
You know what? I would say for the 3 major sports in Colorado, all have good GM to head coach connections in sense of what we can do and what we need. I think the Nuggets are probably on the bottom of that copacetic working relationship.
Right.
And then I would say, it's the Broncos, and then I would say it's the Avs up top. So I don't know that I'm shocked that the deal has turned out so positively for the Avs.
Right.
I'm shocked about how maybe they give them some credit. They knew something that we didn't know. And I love Mikko, but I definitely would rather point my nose up at Hurricane fans than be I miss him. He's so good. Like I was doing with Nolan Arenado for 3 seasons.
100%.
So
I still do that with Nolan.
You know what? Kudos, McFarland. Nice job. The McKinnon bump is essentially, you got a guy that's on the same point per game, average as Mikko. Plus you got an additional couple picks and a 24-year-old prospect with some hometown connections. So, it's super exciting. Have a question for you. I'm actually just going to throw it out there now.
Yeah.
As we talk about the Avs and their back end run, so when we come back from the Four Nations face-off, which is Thursday, go USA until can't root for the guys until it gets done. But Bleacher Report has a ideal trade target. I want to see what you think. So Colorado could make a move, and they could do better, or they couldn't do much better than going for Brock Nelson from the New York Islanders. 33-year-old is a 3-time 30-plus goal scorer with plenty of postseason experience. Pending free agent means he could be available as the Islanders continue to struggle. Carries a $6 million cap hit, but most has been paid out by the March 7th date. The Avs essentially, in their opinion, could offer Casey Middleset to go back, and the Avs might get their additional punch, some seasoned vet, as opposed to Middleset, who you were you were aiming or hoping he was going to be the dude, and has not been.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're looking at. If we move off of Middlestat, we're probably getting an older, I would guess, an older guy, unless you're doing like a swap of young guys, just like kind of like what we did in the first place with Middlestat, which is like, we need a center iceman. We have a good young defenseman. They've both underachieved a little bit. Let's just swap them. And you see teams do that pretty often. Hey, let's trade prospect for prospect. I like this kid. I like his upside. You like this kid. You like his upside. That could happen. But I think more likely than not, especially for a team that's pushing to be competitive in the Stanley Cup playoffs, a veteran guy like that makes sense. He's big. He is a physical player. I think, I don't know that he is an elite goal scorer by any means, but he's someone that's going to bring like a steady, a veteran leadership, and I think just kind of steadies out that second line, which has been pretty up and down. Some of that is due to Middlestat's play. He's played pretty up and down this season.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. It goes as your center goes.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, I mean, you're looking at a guy who's scored as many as 70.5 points in a single season in his career, which is great. But I think last year he was injured a little bit, and so it's just a matter of how much he has left in the tank. 33 is not super old by any means, don't get me wrong. But you start to see a little bit of wear and tear sometimes on those guys, especially bigger body guys that lose a little bit of that quickness. I think looks like this year he's got 17 goals, which is great, 18 assists, a total of 35 points. So, on pace for, somewhere around, between 50 and 60 points probably on the season, which is great. I mean, that's something that we need. We need scoring depth. We need leadership. I would be in favor of a trade like that. Brayden Shin's another name that has been coming up recently. As another forward option that may just need a change of scenery. A veteran guy that's been part of successful teams in the past, has some scoring punch. I think that's probably the most popular trade rumor with the Avs right now.
I like it.
And so there are definitely trades that could be made, and if they do make that, I think it will be more of a veteran guy that kind of can solidify a line. I don't know what that means for next season, and we're still waiting to see what Val looks like when he gets back. We're still waiting to see if there's any movement with Gabe. So there's a lot that remains to be seen with this team. But ultimately, they probably, I could see them making a trade to kind of bolster the roster moving forward and really make a push. So yeah, I think there's some movement in the near future, even if it's not a big move, maybe even just getting rid of some of these younger guys that are, third, fourth line guys that carry a little bit of salary cap, your Dave, your Wood, guys like that, 4 or 5 mil that you just need to kind of start dispersing a little bit of that to plan for the off season. So moves,
you got a long jam of like third and fourth liner guys. A couple of them to a team so that they can, maybe a second round pick or something to sweeten it a little bit, get yourself a rental. Normally I would rather take a swing at a guy that's under contract for a few seasons, but because of we don't know what's going on with Gabe, yada, 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 Val, I think getting a rental and then seeing how the offseason plays out would be ideal. If they're able to get someone that maybe is going to be a restricted free agent, that would be better. But I'm actually all for them. Just get someone that's going to help further run. I think it's a team that has the talent to win a Stanley Cup. Building for the future. We're past that. We got a window with Nate and Kale. Let's win now as much as we can, and then we'll be the Red Wings.
Yep. I think
Red Wings. You guys suck.
I think. And to be honest, I kind of anticipate them coming out of the break with a little bit of gas. I think you're in a spot where you're on the bubble a little bit. I think they need to push. I think you get into the second half of the season for both NBA and NHL, and you see those contender type teams really make a push to get better seeding and placement down the road. They at times you can kind of coast into that All-Star break. We've seen that with teams in the past, and then they just turn on the gas after the break. Everyone gets a little healthier. You get guys back in the lineups. I think you're going to see that with the Avs as guys continue to get healthy and they make another push. Let's talk about the Nuggets, and we'll tie those two together shortly. Today's Nikola Jokic's birthday. Must be said. 30 years old today.
Never thought I would celebrate a goat.
I know, especially a goat, a hometown goat. Well, not. I mean, hometown
Serbia, but yeah.
Sure.
He reached his goat status.
A Colorado career goat.
Yeah. There we go.
So just wanted to throw that out there. We've got talks with Aaron Gordon saying that he's still got some gas so he can join the dunk contest next year. I'm sure that won't happen, but it's fun to play.
It'd be nice.
Fun for him to come out and say on social media, getting people all flustered. Because let's be honest, that was like the best last dunk contest was Gordon and Levine, and we all know that Gordon got hosed.
Robbed.
Yeah, he got robbed for sure. But just want to talk about the Nuggets and kind of the outlook also with them moving forward. We've got they're half a game out of third place behind the Memphis Grizzlies. They're for the most part healthy or getting there. I think Peyton Watson will probably be nursing that. I think it was a hamstring.
Yeah, I think they estimated another 2 weeks.
Yeah, so he won't be back, but we'll have Russ presumably will be back.
Yep.
Aaron Gordon, they still may, just because of the nature of that injury, they may nurse it a little bit as the season goes on. We'll kind of see. MPJ, from all reports, should be back. So the only rotation guy you might be missing is Peyton Watson, and that's kind of just setting them up to, again, kind of explode out of this break. I think they play Charlotte, which is a nice tune-up game before they play the Lakers on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you got to always schedule the JV scrimmage,
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got to, they'll have Mark Williams back that got that trade that got rescinded. So.
See the video of Dalton Connect? Like on the bench? Yeah, that's hard out here on these streets.
It is.
It's like your girlfriend dumped you. She's like, no, I'm leaving you for Tom. And, all blah, 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 the stuff. And then as you're packing up your stuff, you can't find your keys. Like, hey, where'd my keys go?
Yeah.
Second thought, Tom's not available, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it back. I'm excited about it. It was just, if it worked out, it was best for both parties. Didn't work out.
It's just going to be like old times, right? There's not going to be any change of feeling.
Like social media, like welcome back, Williams, all this stuff, and then secretly they're going to the NHL to challenge the Lakers failed at physical, so they can keep the deal while they're being like, "Yeah, I'm excited you're back." Like, geez, no, you ain't.
Jeez. Talk about a whirlwind of emotions for that kid.
Right?
He's a good player too, which is the tough part.
Right? Yeah, you're like,
it's not like
LeBron was on your bandwagon from the draft. Like, oh, we got Luka, let's go. Hey, we're gonna send you out. Like, oh, that's what Shelby felt like when the Russ went. The Russ deal went down. That's what he talked about. He's like, I was pumped to see it on the screen at the team's working out, and then it's like phone call from your agent while you're watching the trade happen. You were one of the pieces going back. Like,
but regardless, the Nuggets will take on the Lakers Saturday, which will be a good test. Luka will be Luka Doncic, now Los Angeles Laker, famously, will be more healthy than he's been previously. He's kind of still getting back into the rotation, so I don't know what to expect from him from production standpoint, but anytime you can roll out Luka and LeBron, it's going to be challenging. I actually think as much as them not having a center would probably be, a death wish on their playoff chances against the Denver Nuggets. I think that makes them more competitive against the Nuggets, maybe even in a playoff series, but definitely in the regular season to have Luka and LeBron. I just think that Luka's a guy who can get you a game. LeBron's a guy who can get you a game, where I never really felt that way with AD, especially matched up against Jokic.
No, and you know what? There were games where, in the playoff matchup last year, he played really well. It's just,
yeah.
Jokic is just a different level, man. And, AD, and maybe it's blown out of proportion. Maybe it's dramatized a little bit, but if that guy weren't built out of cardboard, just gets hurt all the time. Not as much as Embiid.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Hopefully everyone knows that debate's over now. We ain't the same.
It's dead. Dead and gone.
Yeah.
And now everyone.
I like that note, though. I mean, we got some pretty solid matchups, and you go on the road for the Pacers. So that's a tough team. They haven't really played up to the billing as of yet, but riding an 8-game winning streak, this team has the luxury of slow playing some guys back.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're ready to be back, and you continue to kind of separate yourself from the 4th, 5th, 6th seed and all that kind of stuff. Who would have thought when they were 11-10 that we would be chatting after a 25 and 9 run to kind of close stuff out. So excited about where this team's at. What do you buyer's market or buyout market? Anyone that you'd be eyeballing and would be excited about the Nuggets going after?
So I've heard, maybe this is just my nostalgia taking over. I think everyone is excited about a potential Bruce Brown buyout. I don't know that that's something that the Nuggets, even if he did get bought out, I think there's something with that mid-level exception that would make it really difficult for us to sign him still. However, I've been eyeing another Nuggets reunion potentially.
Birdman?
That would be dope. That would be hilarious. I want that. No, so I've read just did a little bit of research the last couple of days, and I've seen Monte Morris's name floated around a little bit as a potential buyout option for the Suns. Now, is it an area of need specifically? Not necessarily. However, if you get into a situation where, let's say a playoff series, someone goes down, maybe that's Russ, maybe that's Jamal, or someone, even if they don't go down, for the series, they go down for a game or two. It would be nice to have a steady ball handling, just playmaking point guard that you can rely on, that's not going to turn the ball over, that has seen playoff action, that is familiar with Jokic and how they play in the system. I think it could be a fun little get for the Nuggets to have a nice reunion. Plus, he's a great team guy, great locker room guy. You don't worry about any of those things. And I think ultimately, he hasn't found a home since he left Denver.
Yep.
He's bounced around a little bit to varying degrees of success. He was with Minnesota last year. Obviously, they made a bit of a run. He's with the Suns now, contributor. But I think that he's a role player that I think that when you're looking at a veteran team that's looking to push for a championship, he's a guy you want on the roster.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the idea of it. I don't know that it's a giant needle mover, but it's someone that I've been eyeing a little bit as just someone that could be a difference maker if you need someone down the stretch, and just gives you a little more, instead of having to worry about, okay, we're throwing Jalen Pickett into a potential playoff game, or we're stretching someone else's minutes further than we want to have to stretch them, then maybe you just have a little bit of relief off the bench with someone who's familiar with the town, familiar with the team, familiar with the offense, and isn't going to turn the ball over, which is a big part of this team's success down the stretch so far this season.
All right, I'm gonna throw some names at you.
All right,
tell me whether or not you would yay or nay. Okay. Yay or nay. Marvin Bagley III.
No, probably not. I always am a little intrigued just because where he was drafted, and that I did think he was going to be a good player. I do think he has some talent, but ultimately I don't know that he moves the needle any more than that he'd have to break the rotation from he'd either be taking minutes away from Gordon or Peyton Watson probably, and I just don't think he's more valuable than those guys.
I like it. Okay. All right. Seth Curry.
I'm never opposed to bringing in more shooting. I would be okay with that. Again, it kind of feels along the Monte Morris lines, like bringing a guy who's going to know his role, who's going to come in, who's going to shoot the ball well. I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Pat. So in the same vein, Patty Mills.
Patty Mills is funny. I actually would like them to sign Patty Mills. That'd be fun. Just because Patty Mills always has these moments. Like if you watched any of the Olympics, he went crazy. Like the guy can score. The guy can get hot. He can change the complexion of the game. I actually think he's probably the most interesting of those names so far. Just because I think even though I don't think he can rise to the occasion every night like he used to be able to, as a quality role player.
Yeah.
I think he still has flashes that you see, and it's kind of fun. I like to root for Patty Mills, to be honest.
All right. Now, out of this group of wings / big men, so we got Cam Reddish, PJ Tucker, DeLon Wright, and Cody Zeller. Any of those guys you like more than the other?
I'm not super excited about any of them. Maybe DeLon Wright. He brings a little bit of athleticism, but I think that you're looking at. I mean, Zeller would be a fine backup. He's a guy that's pretty good around the rim, but he doesn't bring any rim protection, so it's not like you're upgrading your rim protection or anything like that.
Yep.
Reddish has been, up. He's had good moments, bad moments. I think he had a hard time finding his role on a lot of teams, on the Lakers especially. So it would be interesting to see. I don't know if he's a high IQ enough player to kind of play with Nikola Jokic, which I think has been part of his problem. Yeah. So I'd say DeLon Wright of all those guys, like I said, brings a little athleticism, brings a little bit of juice off the bench. But I don't know. I was looking at the bigs and the wings, and I was just like feeling pretty mad about most of them, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. So I think we are both on the bring Brucey home bandwagon. So we're going to move that away.
Obviously, if you can make it happen, let's make it.
Yeah. But if it could work, we don't need to debate that one. We like that one. All right.
So I want to ask you really quick. Okay.
I have a few more. Let me just hit you with one more.
There are a few more. Then I'll hit you with
Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown, which that's a move. Bruce, Javonte Green.
Okay.
Larry Nance Jr.
Well, my home heart says Bruce, obviously. But I actually think Larry Nance Jr. would be interesting. Yeah. I think he's someone that could crack the rotation and be a situational guy. Pretty good defender. I don't know how much I would like to see him play a little bit more. I think he's been hurt a little bit, but he used to have some springs, used to be able to get up and offer a little bit of rim protection, help side defense. I'd like to see if he still has that. I think he's improved shooting the three ball. So there's someone that I think could come in and do a decent Aaron Gordon impersonation. Maybe even if you wanted to spare Aaron Gordon as your small ball 3, you could or small ball 5, you could even maybe have Larry Nance play that role in the short term and if you had a short playoff rotation. I think that he's probably the most intriguing name of those.
Yeah. Right now he's shooting almost 45% from 3. Yeah.
So I'm sure it's not super high volume, but you don't really need him to shoot high volume.
100%. Yep. So he's currently this season averaging 8.5, 4 boards. I like that too for some reason. I was never really big Larry Nance Jr. guy, but I think intriguing. Seasoned vet, been on playoff teams, all that good stuff. And a guy who has the bounce enough to be able to play a variety of positions and contest easy layups. So,
he could play that dunker spot pretty easily. If you had to throw him in there instead of Aaron Gordon, he does a decent enough impersonation, and I think he is. I don't know that he's a super high IQ player, but I think he could play in the flow with Jokic and know how to take advantage of his skill set. So. That would be an interesting one for me. I think that would be the most.
Okay. All right. Last one. Your mama or your wife's mama?
That's rude. Well, both of them are really short, so probably neither.
So neither of them. That's fine. All right.
Yeah.
They got bought out for a reason.
Probably my wife's mom because she's younger.
Fair.
And probably a little feistier.
That's right. That's for sure. All right. Back to you. I got my questions.
All right. I want to know. I'm going to give you the next handful of games the Nuggets are going to play. I want to know how long this win streak goes.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. So tomorrow, Nuggets play the Hornets.
Dub.
Saturday, we play the Lakers.
Dub.
Monday, February 24th, we play the Pacers. I think it might end in Indiana. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless I haven't checked, unless anyone has a injury over there. They've been playing much better basketball as of late after a really kind of slowish start.
I don't know how, from an injury standpoint, how they're doing. I think they're all right though. I know Halliburton's been a little bit banged up, but I haven't heard that he's not going to play after the break. So I think they'll be back up to. Yeah,
I think that's a grimy team. I think they also. Yeah. I think that the Nuggets have, over time really kind of struggled in Indiana, probably because you're in Indiana. I also don't have any facts to back that up off the top of my head, so just a feel. But I think it'll probably end there.
Okay. So 10.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all. So maybe give me the next couple of games and see if there's a definite in there that I feel.
At Milwaukee.
Bell.
At Detroit.
I think they'll win against Detroit. They'll lose against Milwaukee. I think.
Okay.
Giannis has been a monster. Him and Lillard have figured out their two-man game. Kuzma has had the last couple good games since coming on board. He's finally found his sitch. So, I think get to 10 or 11, start that bad boy over again. Yeah,
there's some fun games coming up. That we got the Lakers Saturday, February 22nd. I think it's a 6:30 game. Good. It's not an 8:30 game. I hate those 8:30 game starts. Got Jokic Giannis on February 27th. We've got I really like Cade Cunningham. He's probably one of my favorite players besides obviously any of the Nuggets right now. So that'll be a fun game against the Pistons. Then the game after that is Nuggets Celtics in Boston. That's March 2nd. Then you've got, back-to-back games against the Thunder. Gotta love that. March 9th and 10th.
Is that here or there?
Looks like we're at Oklahoma City for both.
Yeah.
Which
the weird kind of back-to-back same city though is I kind of like it a little bit. Just wear and tear wise, guys. So, but it's better than weird
playing one night and then flying to their house, their house, and then playing the next game. They may as well let them rest. But a lot of good games coming down the stretch. Timberwolves after that, Lakers after that, Warriors. So the Nuggets are going to get tested down the stretch here. It's a tough ending schedule.
The West is a gauntlet, man. The West is a gauntlet. It's been like that for a little bit, but dear goodness, it's cranking up. Let's see. The first team that has a losing record is the Suns at 26-28. If you go from kind of top to bottom.
Yeah.
So, and then the 12 seed who's kind of underachieved is the Spurs with, the next great thing. The Trailblazers, who are not great before they came into Denver, they're 8-2 in their previous 10, 6-4 now. The Nuggets did their work, but Timberwolves are strong, and the Mavericks, I think if AD plays short term, they're going to be a pretty dangerous team. And so really hoping for the Nuggets that they're able to get that 2 seeds to give themselves a little bit of a more favorable matchup. Meaning I really don't want to see Minnesota. I think it's like the one team. Houston, I don't think that they'll see until the second round anyway. And at that point, you're going to have to beat people to get through. I'd rather them not for matchup wise, but heart wise, I would love for them to match up against Minnesota to come last year's a fluke.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Batman slap.
Yeah. Pow.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you kind of get down to like, who do you want to play? Let's say we move up to 2, then that puts the Grizzlies and Lakers below us, and then Rockets, Timberwolves, Clippers, Mavericks are all kind of that next tier, at 4 through 7 there. I don't, or 5 through 8 there. I don't really want to play the Timberwolves if I don't have to. I don't really want to play the Mavericks if I don't have to, especially if everyone's healthy. I don't really fear AD, but I don't necessarily want to go up against AD, Kyrie, and a pretty deep squad.
Yeah, and Clay, who's playing some good, basketball,
playing well. Yeah. I would much rather face the Clippers. I'd much rather face the Kings or the Warriors at this point.
Oh, are you sure that you'd be okay playing the Clippers with their newest addition in Ben Simmons?
I'm as much as Ben Simmons.
Why is he still a thing? Like, why is he a thing still?
I think it was funny. There was like a
big news that he got bought out and is gonna my man still doesn't know which hand he shoots with.
Yeah. No, he's definitely not a shooter. Good defender though. I'll give him that. I'll say he's a good defender.
I mean, nothing like getting a really good defender 1 overall.
Yeah, they wanted. I heard a lot of people saying they wanted Ben Simmons to come here so he could be the new Nikola Jokic project, like
Russ.
Yeah, which is pretty funny. I actually.
Hey, you know what? He's a big guy. Could defend. They don't. He could bring the ball up, handle it a little bit. The problem is just no ability to shoot whatsoever.
No, it's the offensive game is not, unless he's dunking the ball, not great. So I think this brings us to my next question, and kind of our question that we posed for the podcast is, of the 2 teams that share Ball Arena, which is more primed for a championship? I think we're talking about similar teams as far as talent, overall experience, championship experience, having both made some acquisitions, whether that be in the offseason or during the trade up to the trade deadline with Mackenzie Blackwood and Russell. I keep wanting to say Russell Westbrook. Teams that look a little bit different than they have, but it's kind of the same iteration that they've been generally the last couple of years. I think it's really hard to determine which team is maybe more poised to make a championship run, but I'm going to make you take the question first. Who do you think of those 2 teams, the Avalanche and the Nuggets, is more likely to make a push for a championship?
What's funny is I think we've asked this in some way, shape, or form a couple times this year.
Yeah, maybe.
And I feel like it's, for me until now, I think it was a strong Nuggets for a bit. And then there was kind of the swoon. And now we're back up at both teams are playing pretty well. I think the Avalanche, I think their road will be harder based on seeding, right? I think they're the first wild card team. But their matchups against the teams that they played, I think they match up well with the Knights. I think they match up well with who else? I mean, they match up well with Vancouver. I think they match up well with Dallas, with Minnesota, Edmonton, the Kings. Yeah, Winnipeg, I think is going to be a challenge, but I think they have to beat them twice already, right? So I think it's the Avalanche. Because I also think that they have a move or 2 that they can make. Well, the Nuggets, the best they can do is get someone off the scrap heap. And no matter all the names that we just said, not one of them is going to be a difference maker. You hope maybe they elevate, and then it allows one of the current Nuggets to play better, right? Because of whatever that might be. So I kind of like the Avs. Even though their road's a little bit harder. I see that, especially with really good goalie play, and it's That's what this team hasn't had, and I think you can allow yourself to not be perfect in some more areas when you feel good about your goalie. And I think that they feel pretty good about their goalies.
I think it's one of those things too. Like it's just one of those positions when you feel good about it, you feel like you got a shot in any series. It doesn't come down as much to obviously it does come down to matching up on offense and defense. But a goaltender can win you a series if they get hot enough. We've seen that over the years. We've seen Patrick Waugh shut the door on some teams that maybe would have stood a chance if there had been a lesser goaltender in net. I mean, we've seen that over the years with multiple teams. That's why these guys have legendary names in the game of hockey, is because of not just their ability to perform, but their ability to perform on the larger stage. I think you feel like you've got a shot with Mackenzie Blackwood in any series that he's going to bail you out, at any time, and he's athletic enough to kind of recover and make the best of a bad situation at times. So I like that, and I feel similarly. What I will say is that I think that the Avs. I don't know if Nathan McKinnon's going to be the MVP this year. I think he should be again. He's not scoring at the same clip that he is, but his points and production are still there. He's obviously a game changer all across the board. I do think that the gap between a guy like Nathan McKinnon and the guy like Connor McDavid is pretty small, whether that you think one is better than the other. I will say even with as good a season as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's having, I think Nikola Jokic is the best player in the league. And when you have that guy, it feels like you can win any matchup. I mean, you go into any matchup knowing that you're going to have an advantage at a pretty key position for that whole series. And so that makes me a little more bullish to say the Nuggets. As much as I agree with you that I think the game is a little less matchup dependent for hockey. You get a hot goaltender, you can win a series that maybe you shouldn't have won. I don't know. It's the same thing with when you have kind of a ringer player like Nikola Jokic. You can put anyone around him. He made a team with Will Barton and Monte Morris and numerous other guys who are not in the league or are not starters anywhere. He took them to the playoffs and won a round in the playoffs with those guys. He's just a difference maker on the highest level, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm going to say Nuggets. I'm going to say Nuggets.
You might have got me. It wasn't a strong lean to the Avalanche. I kind of talked myself into it, but I don't feel as confident as we did a couple of years ago in either of these teams individually, but I feel pretty good about both of them in the sense of I wouldn't be shocked if they won it this year. I think that both of them have put themselves in a good spot to be able to compete. If the Nuggets get healthy, I really like their chances to be able to at least make it Western Conference Finals. And I think the Avs too, when Val gets back, which sounds like he's back and will play in the Avs next game, which is super good. They have all those pieces healthy. I can see them winning every series, and so it's exciting. I don't feel overly confident with either because I think we've seen the blemishes that both have, but realize they both have currently the best player in the world on their team.
Yeah, agreed. Let us transition. We're going to talk Broncos. We're going to talk draft. Last week we covered, we did some positional rankings of prospects that we like. We did running backs and cornerbacks. Today we're going to do edge rushers and wide receivers. Anywhere you want to start in particular? I'm open. I've got them ready to go, but I'm open.
You know what? I want you to kick it off, and I would like us to start at the wide receiver room.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I'm going to follow the doctor's kind of what he did last week, which was kind of counting out some of those higher end guys that we probably won't get. So I'm not going to throw Tedero McMillan in here. As much as I think he would be great, and I would love the Broncos to get him, he's probably not going to fall.
Could you imagine, though?
That would be incredible.
Imagine, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but yes.
Dude, that's the best duo of jump ball receivers in the league. Like, Bo Nix, just throw it up there. Let those guys get it. That would be dope. So we're probably not going to get McMillan. My wide receiver one, Travis Hunter, we're probably not going to get. I know that people are all saying he's a cornerback, and I think he will play cornerback. I think he's a little bit wasted. I think the thing that makes Travis Hunter so great is his hands and his ability to run with the ball in his hands. So I think you're taking that away, but we'll save that for a different day. So I will start with guys that I think the Broncos will have a legitimate chance in. I'll go 1 to 5. Number 1 being Luther Burden the third.
So this is 1 to 5 or 5 to 1? Sorry.
1 to 5. 1 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be mad if I had him at number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luther Burden the third. Dude is fast. I think that it's funny because he doesn't. There was a lot of missed opportunity with his quarterback play at Missouri. I think it's pretty well documented that he didn't have the best quarterback play around him. So I think there was a lot of missed opportunities for him. But as a guy who, with the transfer portal the way that it is, he had a chance to move, and he was happy where he was. And I'm obviously he's made enough of an impact for him to be considered a likely first round pick. Guy is explosive, creates separation really well. He's pretty twitchy, great hands catcher. That's what you're always looking for with receivers, someone who can track the ball and catch it with his hands. He's frame wise, he's a little interesting because he's definitely more compact. He's not your big, rangy wide receiver. But I don't know that that's something that Denver would need really anyways. We have some big, rangy kind of wide receivers, some good route running wide receivers. Really with Burden, you're looking at big playability and his ability to kind of separate, get the ball to him, and let him go. There's a lot of actually receivers I like. I like this. It's a tough draft class from receivers. I had a really hard time deciding who I was going to put in here because there's a lot that play from the slot and a lot that play from the slot really well. And when you think of slot receivers, you don't necessarily think of game-breaking guys. But I think there's a lot of guys that can do that from here. And I think you're seeing a little bit more of that in the league. Guys who play in the slot like Amon-Ra St. Brown types that are your best receiver on the team, and they really move the chains and they keep the offense moving. So I think Burden could be like that. I don't know that he's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown effective, but maybe he's got bigger playmaking ability with the ball in his hands. Just maybe little lesser in traffic, and those really physical against really physical cornerbacks. But I would say that is my number 1. Number 2, Emeka Egbuka, Ohio State receiver. Again, another guy who plays out of the slot pretty well. I think. I don't think his ceiling is as high as a lot of the other guys, especially Burden. I think Burden's got a far higher ceiling than Egbuka. I think Egbuka is a wide receiver too for a lot of teams, and probably fits that mold of a guy like Emmanuel Sanders for the Broncos, for a team who could be a really good wide receiver too. Probably isn't going to break that just because he doesn't have any super eye-popping stats, but his ability to catch the ball, his concentration, his ability to run routes. He's probably your safest wide receiver prospect as far as, if you want a guy that'll raise the floor a little bit. I think that's the direction you go. My number 3, I'm telling you, I had a difficult time with this. And when I say that, it was really hard. From here on out, it was really difficult. In fact, and so much that I have 5A and 5B. It's because I couldn't just pick 5 people.
Okay.
I picked Trey Harris, Ole Miss wide receiver. Big, physical. He's 6'3", 210. Just an explosive athlete. One of those guys that's kind of your prototypical wide receiver. Great in the red zone. Someone who's going to be able to go up and get a ball in a tough situation. Is a big target in the red zone. Maybe not as good of a hands catcher as some of the other guys in the draft, or as sure-handed as some of the other guys in the draft. But something that he does do well is block in the running game. I really like that he will get after guys. I like that he knows he's got a physical size mismatch and will go after that. It's something that I really like that he does well, and it probably is why he got bumped up a little bit for me. You need everyone contributing on that side of the ball, those Heinz Ward type of blocking receivers that is going to get in there and do the dirty work. He's one that I think has got big playability and is willing to get his hands a little dirty. So I think ultimately I made him my number 3. After that, I've got, this one might be a little bit surprising, and I may be a little bit higher on this guy than a lot of people. I've got Jalen Noel out of Iowa State.
Yeah.
Maybe not even like the top Iowa State receiver according to some people. But I love his route running. I watched quite a bit of his tape and just watched him run routes and just saw the nuance that he has. Just the little movements that he makes to get open, to create separation, to get guys turned around. I think he might be the best route runner in the draft. I don't want to say that definitively because I still got more guys to watch, but he's someone that I really walked away being really impressed by. Not a huge receiver, 5'11", about 200 pounds. But he's quick, he's twitchy, he's got really great hands, and he can run routes, man. Like there's not a lot to not like about him. I don't know if he's got that top end speed where he's going to be a giant playmaker, but he's going to be a chain mover at the very least, and I think you can line him up wherever you want him to be, and he'll be productive. All right, and then I get into my 5A and 5B. I'll just say them both really quickly because I've probably talked too long. I've got Savion Williams, wide receiver, TCU. More from an upside perspective, I don't think he is as natural a pass catcher as some of the other guys. Kind of the theme with some of these bigger receivers that are your prototypical types. But I think he's, as far as athleticism goes, he's probably, behind Tetro McMillan as one of the most athletic guys, one of the most gifted athletically guys. Ability to kind of make a play at any point is there. Someone that I really enjoyed watching this tape. Once the ball gets in his hands, watch out. He's going to be hard to take down. A lot of yak opportunity there. And then I really have kind of fallen in love with the guy that this isn't the type of receiver that I really tend to gravitate towards. But I really like Xavier Restrepo a lot. Dude is pretty explosive with the ball in his hand. You get the ball in his hand, he can make a play. He can outrun the guys. He's really sure-handed. He's a great route runner. He's someone that this team, specifically for the Broncos, I think could really use. Someone that comes out of the slot that has big playmaking ability, that is going to be where he's supposed to be. I couldn't leave him out just because I really enjoyed watching him. So those are my top 6. Technically 5, but 6.
Yeah, 5-ish. I mean, it'd be like 7 if we're counting McMillan, but we're not counting McMillan. So,
right, exactly.
So nice job. Nice job on that poll. I am going to start with 5 and go the other way. 5. And I really like all of these players, to be honest with you.
I like
Harris
all of them
is my number 5.
Okay.
Actually, that's not true. Yeah, we'll have it be my number 5. I really like Trey Harris. He utilizes his size. I don't know that he has runaway speed, but I think he has wonderful burst in and out of his cuts. Shown to be capable against some of the best talent in the nation. I would be, I don't know. He's a first round pick, but I definitely would, if he's available in round 2. I'm snagging away. I think he's going to be a tremendous player with a ton of upside. I really like Savion Williams, 6'5", 225. Like, there's just some things that you can't coach.
Yeah,
being big is one of them. Like you said, not very natural, but I think he's progressed each season.
Yeah.
So you feel like maybe with some more seasoning, some NFL coaching, kind of settle in. My number 3 is Xavier Restrepo. Restrepo. Essentially because of his slot work. The Broncos don't have a guy, or we haven't had one that can really work primarily in the slot. At Miami, he did all of that, but was really heavy. Teams got a heavy dose of him in the slot, and he was phenomenal. And if you can get a guy that can create some hectic, matchups in the middle of the field, I think the Broncos could be really, really dangerous. And I'm excited for all of that. My number two, two. Jalen Royals. I really, really like him. Utah State, 6 foot, 205. Just kind of does it all real well. You wonder about the competition and all that stuff. Kind of, when they matched up with on the road at USC, he played pretty well. Played Utah pretty well, and so I don't, it's not a team that or not a player that I really worry about competition. I think he'll be a tremendous player. Luther Burden, the third, I've kind of come back around. I was kind of down on Burden. I think that he
I was a little down on him
year,
too,
like he did last year. Tom?
Yeah. I was actually a little down on him too until I watched a little bit more.
Yeah,
and I think,
and that was essentially like, why didn't I hear more? And I think just Missouri themselves, kind of didn't play that well. His first 4 weeks weren't that great, and then going on the road at A&M with some tremendous talent, balled out, played well against Oklahoma, played pretty well against Auburn and Alabama, and then again, kind of closing it out. Like I said, against Oklahoma, Mississippi State, he played really well. He's a guy that I think you can win over the top with, but he's definitely a yak god. I think he can do a lot with little bit. And if any offense has dink and dunks built in, that's Sean Payton's for sure. Out of respect, though, I want you to know I didn't pick Emeka because I knew you would. I agree with all of your sentiments. I think if you're okay drafting a number 2 receiver in the late first, early second round, I think he's phenomenal. I think he'll be a really good player for a long time. Just the upside, like you said, especially the guys that have come out of Ohio State. I don't think he's on the same tier athlete-wise. And then just a sleeper, again, is Alec Ayumanor from Stanford, 6'2", 210. Single-handedly diced up CU last year. I think he's a great player. And then some people might have heard, I think just a couple of folks to keep an eye on, Jaden Higgins, Iowa State, 6'4", 215. I really, really like him. I wanted to be able to get to some of the other guys, but if the Broncos were to get him in day 2, I'd be all for that bad boy. Again, grow him on trees. And then Jack Beck, who Senior Bowl fame, really tragic story. Brother passed in a tragedy in New Orleans, and caught the winning touchdown pass at the Senior Bowl. I thought that was awesome. But he's good size, 6'2", 215. Has really kind of improved over the last couple of seasons. So I think there's some really good talent that the Broncos don't necessarily have to, other than McMillan, and I'd say maybe Burden. There's guys that you can get in kind of the fat part of the draft and feel really good about not only their upside, but ability to contribute this year.
Yeah, I love this receiver class. There's a number of guys like Jalen Royals didn't make my list, but I love the way he runs after the catch too. He's like compact frame. He's got good hands. There's just a lot of guys to like. So
100%. It's like and it's weird because it's like Burden. So it's like McMillan, Burden, and the rest of the guys.
I feel
but
that
they're all like they're all pretty close. Where if the Broncos left with any of the guys either of us mentioned, I'd be like dope. Which also is kind of sad because I'm not overly invested. Like they gotta get this guy. Really kind of choose your flavor. It's like, if they pick a guy, it'll be telling because if it's a Cortland Sutton clone, then maybe Cortland, the writing's on the wall. If it's someone like Royals or Burden or even Emeka, I think, then that's a complementary piece or a guy that does something different skill set wise. So super excited about those options. Either way, if they go receiver and like we talked about with running back last time, they're going to leave with a pretty damn good player, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the running back, I feel the same about back in this draft. Running back's fun. Wide receiver room's fun. Or wide receiver class, I mean. I think they'll get good players at both positions, regardless of where they pick. All right, let's hit edges really quick.
Oh,
For the most part, I think I tried to think about guys who would actually work within our defensive scheme that maybe guys that we would the Broncos would target over some of the other guys. So there may be some guys left out that that maybe people would think should be there.
Yeah.
But I'm not exactly doing it that way. But I will start with number one, and I just cut out the top three. Abdul Carter is going to be gone.
Yeah.
James Pierce is probably going to be gone. Michael Williams, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm
maybe, but probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, edge is just a valuable position. You know,
Yep.
So chances are those top three guys will probably be out. I'm going to start. I'll start with one. I really like Mike Green. Mike Green's my number one. It's an interesting one because it is a smaller school. It's Marshall. He is maybe a little undersized, but not. I mean, I don't think so. He's playing stand up. Outside linebacker. He's 6'4", 248. So fast, extremely fast. A guy who will win with speed, especially that first step. I mean, there is shades of Von Miller there. I'm not going to say he is the next Von Miller, but I mean, he beats a lot of guys with just pure speed. He's really fun to watch. He's got a number of moves that he can put out there to beat the offensive linemen. He's got strong, violent hands. I love the motor. He plays with a great motor. Like, he doesn't give up on plays. He's always around the ball, which is always something I look for, especially with those front seven guys. If you've got a nose for the ball and good instincts, it's something that I really like. Change of directions really quick. I think just for setting the edge, he probably lacks a little bit of size, and that's probably where he'd get beat up a little bit is against the run and his ability to hold up, kind of keeping that, trying to hold that edge. But really like everything else about him for the most part. Number two, I'm going to say Shamar Stewart.
Yep.
Again, another really talented player out of A&M. 6'6", 290. Another guy that's really fast, especially for his size. Wins a lot with speed, which might surprise people, but his burst is just really nice. He's really explosive, and it just creates issues. Great run defender, which I really like, and is able to hold up on the edge as opposed to a guy like Green, who's more of a pass rush specialist. Athletic, just you can look at him and just see that he's a special breed of athlete. And he can win with power and speed. He's just more versatile, I'd say, than a lot of the guys in this draft. Probably needs a little refinement. Would probably benefit from some coaching or having a veteran pass rusher or two in his camp, but a guy that I really like. Third, Nick Scorton, the other A&M guy. Explosive. A lot like Green, but bigger. He is listed at 6'4", 285, so same height, but a little more in the pants, so to speak. Plays. I would say he's more of a pass rush specialist, but has the ability to kind of hold up in the run game. Another athlete, just pure athlete. Speed to power to speed. Both of those are really good. And experience. You know, he can play special teams if you need him to. And he's just a guy that's going to go out there and give you everything, every play. After that, I skipped a guy like Jack Sawyer, even though that's one of my guys. Just because I don't know how he would work in our defensive scheme as much. But next, I have Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. He is just a good technician, a guy that I think has kind of a low, again, another high floor guy. Plays a good pad level, good at setting up can up the offensive lineman. Wins on the edge, a guy that can play with his hand in the dirt and standing up. I don't know that, with us, he'd obviously be more of a stand-up guy, but, you can put him down there if needed.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go a little bit deep for my last one, and I texted you about this guy the other day, and that is Donovan Ezaraku. He's an edge out of Boston College. I think the biggest worry with him is similar to Green, which is he's light. He's 247, 6'2". Dude is incredibly explosive, has a high motor. He's a lot of fun to watch, man. He just talk about a twitched up guy. Like the dude comes shot out of a cannon every time, doesn't give up on play. I think he could play, stand up linebacker, outside linebacker. He's a good tackler. He's decent in coverage if you really needed him to play in coverage. I don't know that he. I could see him being similar to Benito as far as upside if you needed to drop him back in coverage. And again, you're just looking at a more diverse athlete, someone who has ability to cover a lot of ground, and that's something that I think the Broncos need a little bit. We got a little bit beat up in the run game. I don't know that he'll hold up at the point of attack as much, but his motor makes up for it. So those are my 5.
Ooh, I like it. I'm going to start at 5, and I'm actually going to start with your guy that you turned me up on. So say his name one more time. Ezaraku?
As a Roku, I think. As a Roku. Raku. I think it's as a Roku.
Yeah, love it. 6'2", almost 250. That's not small. He's able to use leverage. I really liked his get off. Showed a little bit more complete moves than I would have anticipated. And according to PFF, got a run stuff grade of 83.6.
That's pretty good.
Rush win rate is 18%. So he graded out really well according to PFF. So I really like him. And I actually am going to lump him and Princely.
Oh, yeah.
Umanilian. Yeah.
I don't know how to say that one.
Yeah. So another guy that's, 250 or 6'4", almost, 255, 260. Kind of a bigger traditional 4-3 guy end or lighter, but then definitely probably a bigger stand-up edge. I thought he was phenomenal this season. Coming over from Florida, plus he left Florida, so that made me like him more.
Yeah, of course.
Nice job, my guy. The rest of the guys I picked because of the versatility of being able to play a 5 technique or stand up, which I think this team could use. When you got Nick Benito, you got Cooper, you got Jonah Ellis, Tillman. Would it be nice to bring in a guy that can do that? But yes, and I'm picking guys that I think can really come in and contribute. And so my number 4, because those guys were my lumped 5. Number 4 is Shamar Stewart. I think he underperformed according to his skill set, 6'4", 290. But he played better as the season went on, and so that he's a high upside swing. But I think he's a guy that can be versatile up front, and he's young. He just turned 21, so he got a little bit to be able to work with. And then number 3, I have Landon Jackson.
Okay.
6'7", 280 out of Arkansas. Again, up and down the line. Didn't have a ton of help on that Razorback defense and was still able to ball out. But a guy that can play multiple positions. We're getting the theme here. My number 2 is Jared Ivey.
Okay.
Ole Miss. A little bit older, 23 years old, but 6'6", 285. Really has the opportunity to be able to win from a variety of positions. 16.8% pass rush win rate. Grade out 82.7 against the run, 90.8 against the pass. So a guy that not only can play up and down the line, but is effective when getting to the quarterback. Bobby. I love Mike Green.
Okay.
So he essentially, I just love him as a player. I think
me too, man.
He's got a dog in him. He's
For sure.
6'4", so 250. He put on like 5 more pounds. I think he could 5 or 10 more pounds to be more stout at the point of attack. Yeah. If he didn't, though, that's all right. I think he's the guy that to me, it's kind of, if they were to draft him, they're not going to re-up Benito. It's a little bit of like redundancy in some of those, or maybe you want both of those edges and they'll look to move on from Cooper after maybe something like that. But there's a lot of what's your flavor again at this position. The more that we've talked about it, the more I really like this draft. If I were the Broncos, I would trade some picks for next year to jump back in to get some more in the meat of this year. Just for the fact of, could next year have like, sure. Yep. But from what I've seen, I know that it's going to happen this year. I don't know who's going to come out next year, right? I thought Nick Singleton, running back, was going to come out. Super pumped about him. He's like, I'm going back to school. Who knows? But we know who's in this draft class. Didn't mention Kyle Kennard, South Carolina edge, who's really great. I like Jordan Birch, 6'6", 295. And then my actual sleeper, it's my guy. I would have brought him in. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to kick everyone else out. He's my number 5. Is Elijah Roberts, SMU, 6'4", 295. Can play up and down the line and has really showed a burst to be able to get around at the edge at 295. So he's a cat that I like. Played really well against Clemson and Penn State in kind of the last couple of games of the year. Showed out really in the ACC, playing some pretty good talent. Played well against BYU, played it well against TCU. 8 Florida State alive, which was fun. But just overall, really good player. So I'm excited about that. Remember the name Elijah Roberts. Go tell a friend.
I like it. I like it. It's a fun. It is a fun draft. It's just a fun group. Like, it's not necessarily fun at quarterback. It's
we don't need one, but we don't need.
Yeah, exactly. And so that makes it even more fun. Is like, and to your point, like, I find myself when I'm doing mocks, like, trading back like 80% of the time just to get more picks, to get more assets, to get guys this year. Just because you can find a lot of, we haven't done defensive tackles yet. There's a huge defensive tackle class of a lot of guys that are really interesting. Some great safeties. Like, it's a really deep draft, as long as you're not looking for a quarterback for the most part.
It's like quarterback and center. I think probably kind of interior offensive line in general, I haven't been in love with.
I'd agree with that.
But really, that's kind of it. Everything else. I think,
a lot of offensive tackles.
Yeah.
I'll probably not drafting them too high, but nice to have some good depth options.
For sure.
All right, we're wrapping it up today. Thank you guys for your time. We appreciate you as always. But we got to run. But hit us up on the Twitter at JTMatthews01 at DR_N_Manning, and we're happy to interact with you. Otherwise, be safe out there. And if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
I got you, bro.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute. Work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted.